Ladies and gentlemen, I believe, pretty sure that we're live, February 27th, 2025, coming at you live from the Canoga Park headquarters of 2LaneLIVE, our only location of 2LaneLIVE. This episode is brought to you by Law Tigers Motorcycle Attorneys. Find yourself in a pinch, get in an accident, make sure they're the first call before your insurance, and they'll take care of you. Boys, who do we got today?
Is the camera on? Are we live? We're doing it live? All right. Well, we are blessed to have our good friend Gevin with us. We were talking a bit earlier about the first time that you were in the podcast had to be almost 5 years ago.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
And then you also did the one at Mulholland.
Yes.
So when we used to do those lives at Mulholland, guests would just walk up. She was one of those.
So, but where does anyone here remember where we met?
Yes.
Where? Because I don't.
Was it the bike shed?
No. It was before the bike shed even existed.
Yeah.
In California.
Good stumping question.
While you're thinking of that, I do want to say
it was at the dealership.
He said our only location is here, but on our travels across this country, everywhere we lay our head down, that's our location.
Well, I usually say the 2LaneLIVE headquarters, but I'm out of brain cells today. I even forgot to give Gevin an intro. So we've had her on the show before. She's an educator. She's a rider. She makes some incredible goods out of leather and all these other things. She probably has more miles than the three of us combined, a bunch of bikes, incredible woman, and I'll let her share the rest, but we're looking forward to speaking with her today.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if she has more miles than all.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But I know one bike has over 600,000 miles.
Yep.
One, yeah. Then the Road King's got 236,000.
Now, what are you doing with that?
I'm actually, because I love that bike and it's got all those miles on it and it's become a conversation piece, just like the shovel.
Yes.
I'm going to put it back together again. I'll make it a Frankenstein.
Explain what happened.
Actually, I was going southbound on the 405 truck lane.
Yep.
I was changing from the 5 truck lane to the 405 truck lane. And as I was traversing across into the 405 truck lane, I hit a pothole, which it was probably about that big. It wasn't that big, but half of my tire hit the pothole. So it didn't hit it square. If it hit it square, I think it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But half of the wheel hit the pothole and I felt it when it happened. And of course I'm like, oh shit, speed wobble. Cause it happened right after that. And then I was fine for that moment because it was kind of like this. But then as I started drifting to the outside of the lane, I hit the white line, the solid white line, which was raised ever so slightly. And that sent it again. And when it sent it again, it went from this and something controllable with me on the tank to wah, 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 wah. It was like, I just went, okay, we're going. And before I got the thought of down, I was on the ground and spinning 360s.
Oh, wow. Not fun. Okay.
But luckily you had a little protection on that.
I have to thank all of my trainers that taught me how to take a heavy duty slide from when I used to test drive bikes, all my stunt trainers from stunt riding, all of the sponsors that I had, because everything that I had on was all sponsors' clothes. I had an Exo helmet, Exo Scorpion helmet on. That saved my head. I had a Black Arrow from Wind and Throttle, Black Arrow Wind and Throttle jacket, fully padded shoulders, forearms, elbows. I had a pair of tobacco pants, and we know about tobacco pants slide.
Yep.
And man, I'll tell you what, I slid 65 yards with the bike, and then the bike slid another 40 yards after that.
Wow.
And I came out of it with no broken bones. And the road rash that I got was literally smaller than a dime on the outside of my knee.
Mm.
And then I had a puncture wound in my hand. I had 78 official gloves on. And I had my Chippewa boots on, which are ropers. So they're high boots. They don't fly off your feet. If I had my other Chippewas on, I'm just going to say this for everybody around there. Chippewas are awesome, but if you have slip-ons, they will literally, you can get knocked out of your boots.
Yeah.
And mine are lace-ups for that reason, because I've seen too many accidents with people that died and their boots are on the side of the road.
Yes.
And it's just stuck in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, lace up or something that's going to lace across your instep that's not going to fly off your foot.
So you don't recommend these?
No.
As much as I love them, no.
I know it's stupid.
I mean, a lot of these guys wear Van tennis shoes and
I wear my Vans. I love them. I won't wear them riding though. No,
not
I won't wear
Yeah,
a
I'll tell you
bike.
this: the only accident I've ever been on the street,
Yes.
I didn't stand up with 2 shoes on.
Oh, I bet.
They flew.
They
I
were
was wearing
gone.
Vans at the time. Now I got 8-inch lace-ups, but
Exactly.
What happened out in the desert that day?
I was missing one Van.
He was missing a shoe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Holy
So you and Josh have something in common.
Yeah,
you both
hey.
have been sliding down
sliding
asphalt.
down the.
Yep.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. As I was watching my handlebars and my turn signals getting ripped off of my bike, and watching my saddlebags get obliterated, and then sliding behind the bike as it's doing endos.
But that's an
You know.
older bike, right?
Yes, it's
And
a
it had
2001.
did it have stock suspension?
No, that was the other. I'm really glad you brought that up because it had Fox Racing. I have to thank Fox Racing.
I'm surprised
because
it didn't handle that.
It handled
it's
everything else. In
Kind of
fact,
the way she hit it sounds like.
I'm
And
telling
then-
you, yeah, it hit the front tire and then went into the air, hit the rear tire, hit the front tire, rear tire, front tire, rear tire, landed on its wheels. But I'm telling you, the whole torso of the bike untouched, with the exception of my gas tank because my knees hit my gas tank. And then of course the front fender untouched, rear fender untouched, tailpipe because it extends out past the luggage rack. Luggage rack got more than the tailpipe did, but the tailpipe got a little bang. Front and rear fenders completely intact. Rear turn signal assembly completely intact. Torso of the bike completely intact with the exception of my saddlebags.
That's odd.
Yeah.
Wow, that's different for Josh because his was like had to be forklifted out because it was just annihilated.
Well, it looked like mine was annihilated. I mean, because like I said, it landed on its wheels, but it was annihilated. I mean, I should have given you guys a couple of the photos of that because it's just the saddlebags are gone, the handlebars are gone, the turn signals on the front end are gone. I mean, she was mashed.
But after you crashed, I saw a picture of you and your knee was swollen.
Oh my God.
And I said, I think she broke her leg.
Well, we weren't sure. I mean, but I knew that I could bear weight. Because the funny thing is it wasn't funny, but the paramedics showed up and they're like, do you want us to transport you? And I'm like, no. And they're like, really? They go, well, what hurts? I go, well, my hand hurts because it had a bad puncture wound, which I thought I was bleeding out. I didn't know where the blood was coming from.
Right.
It was literally like a faucet going, and I'm like, oh my God, is it my groin? Is it my neck? I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to bleed out. And it was my hand. And so when I realized it was my hand, I had it away from my body and it went like that and all over my pants again. And I just shut my hand and I could feel the blood filling up in my hand. But then I rested my hand on the guardrail because I'd managed to slide myself out of harm's way as semis are going around me and everything. It was nuts.
Were you alone?
I was alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was alone.
Well, we're glad you're safe.
Yes.
And you're going to put that bike back together. But before we get started, we had a great drop yesterday. You guys need to go check that out. Thank you. I see a lot of the folks that were on the drop commenting yesterday here on the show as well. We've got Hunter's Adventures. We got, which I think that's Kyle Snow as well, right? Or is Kyle his father?
Kyle is his father.
Okay. And then we have Janice is obviously there. Mac, I see a lot of people in.
Yeah, we got Robert Razzo.
Yeah, there we go. The Roz. So go out and look at yesterday's drop. We also will be showing some new merchandise. We have some new shirts coming out. The Bodie and the Valley of Rocks will be coming out in a couple weeks.
And they're really cool.
And you all have been asking for a sticker. So the first 50 orders will get a free sticker. Then they'll go on sale for $10 a piece.
That is
it's a bike sticker. They've seen them on our bikes, and you all say, hey, how can I get one of those? And we say you can't, but now you can.
Now you can. That's the first 50 orders of the Valley of Rocks shirt and the Bodie shirt, which are going to be dropping soon. We're actually filming a vlog today that we will be planning on dropping next week. First week of March.
Can you give your disclosure that if you're listening to this 3 months from now?
That's why I said the first week of March, which is 2025. Okay. So if you're listening to this and it's not February or March 2025, the shirts are probably sold out, and you're welcome to shoot me an angry email about why you didn't get one. So
we still haven't figured out where we met.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
But
I mean,
we've met.
Was it a Mulholland thing?
I think it was at the dealership.
I don't know.
I think it was.
That's where I thought it was.
Yeah.
Can't we make up something more cool?
It was at Neptune's Net. We did a ride together.
We did. Well, see, honestly, I was just trying to remember because we knew of each other before I actually did that podcast with you over at the dealership, Harley dealership. So we knew about each other. So obviously, so maybe it was through social media that we knew.
Did someone introduce us? We'll figure it out.
We were formally introduced.
But one of the things we wanted to do. You're kind of on this quest, and we want to talk about that. And there's been some well-known female writers that have been in our studio, like yourself. The lead is Jessica Haggett. I mean, we've had Brandy and Maggie on with
even Lisa, Sacred Rider, who's watching right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is it Lisa?
Lisa.
That's my sister.
Tell my sister I love her and miss her and see her soon.
But we've had some incredible guests on. We've had Lorna and the Medicine Wheel people. So showcasing female writers is something that we love to do. We want to dig into the backstory with you a little bit. I mean, you can tell the viewers how you got into writing, because I think you shared that with us in one of the podcasts, but people haven't probably gone back and listened to that. So talk a little bit about how you got into it, and then maybe some influences that you've had, and then this project that you're going to try to rehash.
Well, first of all, I'm just going to start this by saying I'm really old, I mean, because people are like, well, how long? Okay. They ask me, how long have you been writing? And I just say, maybe longer than you've been living, because I've been literally writing for 57 years. I'm 67. I actually started riding a motorcycle by the time I was 10. I was thrown on a mini bike at 8, my dad, and he didn't even ride because he didn't want to ride because he was concerned that if he rode, who's going to take care of his family if he got hurt? So, I just have to say, I was the only girl in my family, and my father was very proud of that, but I think I was my father's favorite son. So I'll leave it at that. But
we're not that old. I'm 65, so we're in the same boat.
We're in the same, right? We'd be in the same high school years, right? Yeah. Okay. But I think one of the first people that actually influenced me was I was standing on the corner at 13, and this is when I had my moped. I didn't have a motorcycle yet, but I knew that I wanted to be a Hell's Angel. And I was standing on the corner in LA, and a black woman on a Ducati 750 flew by me. And I was like, whoa, and that made me think I could really do this, because it was kind of like a pipe dream.
Where was this again?
This was in LA.
In LA.
And
okay.
I was, my parents used to own a house that was right off of La Brea and Sycamore. And I was standing right on the corner, and this woman just blew by me like I was literally standing there, but she just went, whoa, and I was like, what just happened, And that was, I would say that was the very first spark. But then, as I rode the moped and then started getting bigger bikes, of course I was riding more. But the beginning of all of this, I'm going to say, started with people like Courtney Caldwell and Chris Summer Simmons. Chris Summer Simmons is married to Pat Simmons of the Doobie Brothers. And Chris and Joe Giovanni started the very first Harley Women magazine. And that was the first time women had a magazine. And Chris talks about this in Biker Women, which we'll talk about. They were like, what are these women doing? I mean, she started this magazine, but it was a success because no women knew where to go. We were all watching, looking at EagleRider, which is a great magazine, but it's really geared more towards men. And we wanted something that was a little bit different, that kind of showcased women in a different light. And so she started this magazine, and the magazine was very successful. I ended up meeting her in Sturgis, and then the Love Ride, which I ended up singing the anthem for almost a decade.
Really?
Yes. But before I came to California, I knew of both Chris and Courtney. And Courtney started a magazine called American Woman Motor Scene Magazine. Well, fast wind forward, when I came back, I'm actually from California, but I lived in Ohio for a short time. When I came back to my home state, I sought both of them out. And once I did that, Courtney was the first one I really linked up with. And Courtney ended up hiring me to work with her on her magazine, which I was thrilled about because now I'm I was in the industry. And through us getting to know each other a little bit better, I ended up on the cover of her magazine with a big article because I had just finished working with a band on the MCA record label called Climax, KLYMAXX, all-girl black punk band. We had a couple of records in the 80s that were very popular. Meeting in the Ladies' Room, the Men All Pause, and they needed a bass player because their original bass player, who actually was named Finderella, but then they started calling her Spinderella, right? She started working for Salt and Pepper. Well, I had to backfill that position, and so I got to do the last album with them. So I was on the MCA record label with them for about a year and did Soul Train, MTV, VH1, but I digress. So those two women started these magazines, and through that magazine, I ended up meeting people through Courtney as well as Chris, we ended up meeting Ted Turner from Turner Broadcasting and then the Discovery Channel people. And before I knew it, I was being cast for this program called Biker Women. And
but talk a little bit about, you were telling me earlier about Jane Fonda. So they were watching a trailer in the plane coming home from something, but it was what was the name of the other trailer? Not yours.
It was called Harley-Davidson, the American Legend. And I know a lot of people saw that particular documentary because Jay Leno was in it and my friend Peter Fonda and all these other, they talked about, they just talked about the whole history of motorcycling.
Right.
And Ted was with his wife, Jane at the time, and they were flying back in the private jet. And he goes, well, what did you think of it? And she said, I thought it was wonderful, because it was a wonderful show. It was wonderful. She said, but where are the women? There are women that ride. There are women that have been riding for years. And he goes, I never really thought about it, because, who's going to, he's a guy, he's going to think, let's do this. So that sparked an idea, and he approached Deep River Productions, and Deep River Productions put a show together and did the rough cuts on it. And even though it was just a 1-hour documentary for Discovery, they were going to sell it to Discovery Channel eventually and Turner Broadcasting Superstation. Well, it started out with a $600,000 budget for a 1-hour documentary. I mean, which is like unheard of. This is like in the early 90s. Right. It was like 94. So we didn't even really know how big the budget was. And we didn't know how big it was until it blew up. So he did that. When he saw the rough cuts of it, after they, Peter Starr was working with us. He was one of the top photographers for motorcycling at the time, for, Motorcycles in Motion. And when Ted saw the rough cuts from it and saw what we were doing, he was so thrilled. He dumped another $500,000 into the project. So now we have a 1-hour documentary with a $1.1 million budget in 94, if you can imagine that. So there we were with this huge thing. And again, we really didn't know how big it was. None of us really did until we saw the production company start showing up, with the booms and the people and they're flying us all over the place. And then at one point I had done an interview with them that actually got lost. There's lost tapes out there, people somewhere that got lost, and they had to refilm a good portion of my segment. That was like the personal interview. So they had to fly me to New York to meet Sis Wilson, one of the executive producers, and Vicki Samuels, who was the director. And when I did that, they were showing me New York, and I'm on the corner in Times Square, and what happens but a huge bus drives by, and our faces are on the side of it, and it was like, what?
So you should stand on the corner more often.
Right.
Yes, the body went that way, your face is going that way.
I'm telling you, apparently,
and not stand on it for a bad way.
Yeah.
We like good thoughts.
Seriously.
Go stand in the corner of Winslow, Arizona.
There you go. Check that out.
Because I think back on that, because Biker Women for me was a dream come true, because it was so huge. I mean, a lot of other things that I've done in my life have been really huge things, but that, ever since I was a kid, and I truly, like at 10, I used to go into the candy store, and there was a gentleman that used to have a stack of EagleRider magazines, and I would thumb through those magazines as a kid going, I just want to be these people. They look like they're having so much fun, and I want to have fun, like that, bonfires, and they're riding motorcycles, and they're doing all this fun stuff, and I was like, I want to do that. And that's all I thought about. That's all I ever dreamt about, that and being a rock and roll star.
So
you've done a lot of that.
I have.
So speak a little bit to the premise of the show, and we have a clip that we'll play for those, but some people aren't going to be able to, they're just going to be listening.
Yes.
So speak a little bit around the premise of the show.
Biker Women itself?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what they did is they literally hired 4 of us to co-star in this program that was, and it was funny, like when we were talking about how to, what kind of title they went, biker chicks. We're like, oh no. And then, biker bitches. No, definitely not, but, and then they said, we wanted something strong, but we wanted something that called us women, not girls, And so they said, well, how about Biker Women? We were like, perfect. And they went with that title, and that worked. So when we filmed it, we were concerned about what kind of an audience. I mean, and so was Discovery. They were concerned about the audience that it was going to bring. And we thought, well, the men are going to watch it because it's called Biker Women. But once the men started watching it, we knew that the women would be looking over their shoulders like, what are you watching? But once they saw that it was featuring women that rode, and it wasn't like, you know, just a bunch of naked women. Not that that's a bad thing. There's a lot of women that like to do that, and I'm not dissing them at all. It's like, do you, you know?
Go to Xerox OnlyFans page and
you know, it's just do you. But we wanted to do a different perspective.
Yeah.
You know, those women that wrench, because Chris and I wrenched. The other girls didn't wrench, but Chris and I wrenched. Both of us ride Harleys and had been riding for quite some time. And we ride a lot. We ride cross country, sometimes by ourselves, sometimes with a group of people, but we're generally riding with the guys, but we ride a lot. So we were kind of like little brothers to the guys almost, you know. They didn't even consider us little sisters. They considered us little brothers because we'd gotten that kind of respect from riding for so many years. So that was the perspective that we wanted to show the public, the general public, was that, look, we're here and we do ride and we ride well, and we're not afraid of rain. We're not afraid of cold. We're not afraid of bugs. We're not afraid of a breakdown. This is what we do. You know, you can either sit here and I said there was one part in the movie when I said I could either sit here and cry or sit there and try to figure it out. And, you know, from that, you know, I always carry tools. Chris would always carry tools. And believe me, they were rooting for a breakdown, and I said, please don't,
right?
Because I had the oldest bike. You know, I had the old shovelhead. The other girls had all brand new bikes, and I had the old shovelhead. I'm like, no, please don't. But of course, my bike broke down, and I had to literally, you know, so they caught me wrenching on my bike quite a bit, which was a highlight.
But you learned a lot.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I had some serious issues that are common, and I get to tell, you know, other mechanics about what it was, and they're like, what? You know, so I've had some really great stories and some amazing experiences.
Should we try the trailer? Or do you think
Mike was off? I don't actually have a trailer for biker women. Okay. I have some. Let's see what I got.
I did actually send you guys a trailer for biker women.
Was it on Vimeo?
Great. It's kind of, well, I sent it. Yeah, it's a video.
Was it on Vimeo?
I
don't. I would need a file because I can't use a link.
Oh,
so that might be.
You know what? I don't know.
Gotcha. No worries. We'll put some links in the description afterwards.
Yeah.
But we can play. What did you send me? We had the Noah Kistler, the profile on you.
Polaris shoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we had the Freedom Machines.
Yeah, Freedom Machines. That was a little spec commercial that we did with the hope of getting Indians' attention. We did. It might not have been the best way, but we got their attention.
Should we play one of these real quick?
Sure.
Which one?
Whichever one you prefer.
Let's see. Let's do the profile. It's all about you today.
Well, let's do the Polaris one.
Okay. This guy.
Because it's kind of a cross act, because I'm actually on my Harley. I didn't have the Indian yet, but it's one that the Indian spec. You can put that out.
Cool.
Yeah. Freedom will not come today, this year, nor ever, through compromise and fear.
I have as much right as the other fellow has to stand on my 2 feet and own the land.
I tire so of hearing people say,
let things take their course. Tomorrow is another day.
I do not need my freedom when I'm dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread.
Is a strong seed planted in a great need.
I live here too.
I live here too.
I want my freedom.
I want my freedom.
Just as you.
We saw a lot of friends in there?
Did you say they saw that or didn't? Huh? They couldn't see it, the people watching?
Yeah, they could see it.
Okay.
That's why it was on the screen.
I'm just talking about those that'll be listening through Spotify.
Ah, very good. That was awesome.
We were very concerned about making sure that people knew that we wanted to be considered for our freedom just as everybody else. You know, that was really the preface of that particular clip. We just, you know, I want my freedom just as you, you know, just as everybody else. And so, you know, that's why we did it with all women. And we were very proud of filming that, you know, and it was just a little fun thing that we did for advertisement purposes, just to, you know, really promo, not so much for Indian as much as it was just to get it out there and show people that, you know, we're in this too.
Well, I thought we might have had a clip of the other, but I think what we need to get back to on that as well, talk a little bit about the empowerment it gave you and it ran for like 2 years, right?
It ran for 2 years. They did have it on the Discovery Channel. It would do reruns and everything, and it was highly recognized. In fact, so much so that within 2 weeks it went international. So it was all over the world within 2 weeks, and we were considered for Academy Award recognition for it. Very much like the Leaders film, actually. That was another one that we got a lot of recognition for. But yeah, people really loved it. I mean, the women loved it, but the men loved it as well. They were blown away because it was done so well, and they appreciated the fact that we showed the grit. We showed the grit. It wasn't like, a bunch of, ladies, just trying to watch our nails or whatever. And, we put our hands in the dirt. We, had to deal with the rain, the cold, the breakdowns, wrenching, the whole 9 yards.
Well, we've talked about doing television, or we've had some people pitch some different things, and we always wonder about, is that going to take away some of the creative freedom that we have? And I was watching some of the pieces today, and it felt like, to me, you weren't being directed. Felt like to me, you guys were just kind of natural and raw. Is that how it was?
Correct. Because it was a documentary. It was a lot of people think, especially with reality shows.
Right.
This was before its time.
Right.
There were no reality shows yet, but it was a documentary. So they would question us, but it was very raw. I mean, whatever came out of our mouths was what came out of our mouths at the time. There's a little interview in Biker Women where they're asking us, well, how do you feel about, women that basically expose themselves or whatever. And we were both like, there's women that are going to do that. We're not dissing that, but not all of us. Don't pigeonhole all of us into that realm, because there's a lot of us that just want to get out there and ride just like guys. We just want to ride, and we want to go cross country, and we want to wrench, we want to weld, we want to do all these things. I mean, and I think one of the things that people forget is, like, at my age, at 67, I was not allowed to take auto shop. I was not allowed to take metal shop. I was not allowed to take wood shop. Those were all the classes I wanted to take, but they're like, no, you're a girl. No, you're a girl. No, you're a girl.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I had home ec, typing, sewing. Yeah. It was like, no, I'm sorry. I used to beg my dad.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, it's very different now. So many girls are welding now. So many girls.
Well, they don't even have autos or anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
all the shops are gone.
They need to bring the vocational trades back. They really do.
Just
because we're going to have a country of people, or the world of people that don't know how to do anything.
Exactly. And that's not good. That's not good at all.
So now fast forward to what you're trying to do today with this. It's a video. It's a movie.
Yeah, it's a 45. It runs 45 minutes with commercials. It runs a full hour. But, what I'm trying to do is I'm bringing it back because of the fact that it was so far ahead of its time, and the fact that we've been doing this for a long time. I mean, women were doing it before Biker Women, but we couldn't get the recognition and we couldn't get it on film. But we did get this on film. It's like, we talk about it. It's like Thelma and Louise meets Easy Rider. And so I want to bring it back to the forefront because I want the younger women that are out there that are riding to see that we did this 30 years ago. And
gives me the
fact that the fact that they are riding now is because we spawned this 30 years ago. All the women that saw this went out and bought bikes and then had children, and then their children, their daughters, are also riding. And that's where it's come from. And it traditionally has migrated into this vast movement of women that ride. I mean, the Leaders alone, and that's not counting all the women that ride all over the world, but the Leaders alone, we've got 25,000 women in our collective community all over the world.
Right.
It's like I could go to Dubai and meet Leaders girls, my Leaders sisters there. I was in Spain. There's Leaders there. There's Leaders in Australia. There's Leaders in Sydney. There's Leaders in Japan. There's Leaders all over the country. And to be able to have that kind of access and then that kind of support for a female is wonderful, because what we've done is we've managed to leapfrog off of each other. Like, I mean, if you look at all these women now that are in the industry, not just motorcycling, but in the film industry, you're looking at them opening up their own production companies, and they're starting their own movies, but they're making female heroines. Well,
we had Jessica on that started the Leaders. She's just a badass. But you had said that you showed her biker women. And she's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, she couldn't believe it. It was really cool because we actually premiered it at the Tintic Museum in Eureka, Utah with Chopper Gary and Candace. A little shout out for you guys. And we didn't know how it was going to go. I just threw it out there, you know, and so she called all of her girls, and then we put it out there for the general public. So we actually had a packed house, and it was predominantly women, but the place was packed. And I showed the film, and when it was done, Jessica looked at me and she's like, I am blown away. She said, I had no idea. And she said, every female needs to see this because of the fact of its age and the fact that we did this in the like early 90s. And here we are 30 years later, really, you know, evolving even more and more and more. I mean, I'm watching girls that started out on little mini bikes or mopeds or little dirt bikes, and they're like bosses now. I mean, I rode with my Lita's girls who, you know, I trained many of them who are leading these rides now. And I cannot tell you how proud it makes me to watch them and see how they've evolved into just bosses on the road and riding big bikes. You know, they're doing wheelies. I mean, look at Patricia Fernandez. I mean, she was, what did they call it? Not King of the Hammers. That's
King of the Baggers.
Thank you. I'm thinking of Terry.
Of Thor.
Right, Thor and everybody. No, King of the Baggers. I mean, she's the lady King of the Baggers, you know, and it's like they call her Ponytail because they're chasing that ponytail. Right. But, you know, I mean, a lot of us have been drag racing for years and not gotten the recognition. And now, because we're a little bit more in the forefront, and now we've got men like yourselves that are supporting us, you know, and giving us and allowing us to have a platform, because honestly, you guys are really great at doing this. And because you've been doing it for so long, you guys have access to things that we don't have access to. So I'm constantly saying to the, I call them men of quality, you know, please, you know, support us. Like, I need a venue to be able to bring biker women to light. I want to be able to show it to all of these different people and communities so that they can see that this history is there, you know, along with a lot of other women's films. You know, I mean, maybe we'll turn it into a women's film festival as we go, but that's my preface. I want to tour the country and go all over the world with biker women so that they can see a lot of where it began, where that particular movement where we are now in the United States, where it kind of began, you know.
Well, we need to be at the first viewing.
Absolutely. Right? Are you kidding? I wouldn't think of not having you there.
But I read, I didn't go as far back as the 90s, but I read somewhere in 2012, women made up only 9 or 10% of the riders.
Barely. Yeah.
Today it's at like 21%.
It's actually a little more than that.
It's grown.
It's grown a lot. And a lot of those numbers are skewed for this reason. There are so many women that ride used bikes. So those numbers, okay, those numbers aren't seen because they got a bike from their boyfriend or they bought a bike from another female or wherever, but those numbers are not seen. All you're seeing is the new bike purchases. So to be 21% of the new bike purchases, well, you have to consider how many of those women went out and bought. I've never purchased a new bike.
Yeah.
All my bikes had previous owners. Even if, you know, I mean, all the bikes that I've gotten had minimal miles on it when I bought them, you know, and I managed to put hundreds of thousands of miles on my bikes after I got them, you know. But
the fact of the matter, whether it's 10% or 20%, at least you're seeing growth in that segment.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things,
and it's double digit growth.
It's double digit growth. And we actually, Jessica just did a post, which I was really proud of her for doing this, because she did a survey on women and asking them, you know, what works for you when you ride? And for us as females, these bikes are made for men. You know, so most of us are tippy toeing.
I saw
you know, yeah, you know, I mean, but we're still managing it. We've managed to technique our way around it, and we're still riding like bosses. But that being said, guys, this is 20+% of the market. How do you ignore 20 cents on every dollar? You know, so and to think about it, even in a married couple situation, who controls the purse? You know, it's like if the man wants to get a motorcycle, he's got to clear it with the wife beforehand, you know, not all the time, but, you know, but still, you know, it's got to be a mutual thing. And if you can get her on a bike, you know, you're going to get him on a bike. You know, I mean, it may not be the other way around. If he gets a bike, the chances of her, she may ride on the back, but if she really knows that she's capable of taking a course and doing it, let's get some mid-size motorcycles out there that women can have introductory, miles on, and not feel that they're so overwhelmed with an 800cc engine, that's really huge to them, or high profile, or whatever the case may be.
Or even bigger.
Or bigger. Yeah. Because obviously I started on small bikes and worked my way up. But, even when I remember when I went from my 350 twin, I had the old 350 1969 twin with the two-tone, red and black. Yeah, I wish I had that bike now. But I went from that to my Honda 750. And I remember I was like, holy shit, this thing's huge, but then you get used to it really fast. And then I went from that to my first Harley.
And what happened when you went to your first Harley?
Everybody said my life would change. And I was like, I've been riding for 17 years. My life is not going to change. My life changed.
Look at those four badass.
That was one
ladies.
of the
oh my God.
biker women shots.
That's my shovel head. That bike has 600,000 miles on it.
Wow. You still have it?
Oh, yes. That's my chopper. That's the chopper that I've been building. You guys see me building on for like the last 15 years. Yeah. It takes money and time.
So did it change your life?
It did. It totally changed my life. I was telling you a story about, when I was on the Honda, they're like, oh yeah, chick on a Honda, not a big deal, oh, it's a girl on a bike. But when you put a girl on a Harley, a big twin, now it's like, whoa, I remember when I had just gotten my Harley. Oh my gosh, there's two stories. Actually, I just got my Harley. The first one was I was at a parking meter, and I was reaching in my pockets trying to get a quarter, and then this guy across the street goes, hey, and I looked up, and he throws a handful of quarters at me. He goes, there you go. These quarters are rolling across the street. I was like, oh my God. But the next one was, I was so excited to have my Harley. When I finally got my plate, I put my plate on, didn't even, I don't even look at it. Just put the plate on. I'm riding around. I'm so excited. I'm on my Harley, and I'm thinking, I'm here, because as a kid, all I could think is, hair flying in the wind, and I'm riding a Harley. And then I'm seeing guys, and they're seeing me on my bike. And I really didn't know what kind of attention I would get, but I'm seeing these guys, like, they're like throwing their tongues out at me and everything. And I'm like, what is happening? I didn't know what was going on. And then like a month later, my friend is like, yeah, your license is really interesting. And I'm like, my license? What are you talking about? My license? She goes, yeah, your license. I go, what about I just slapped. I never even looked at my license. My license said 41LIK. Not like, but lick. Yeah. And everybody was responding to that. I had no idea. I had no idea.
That's what you were going to say was upside down.
Yeah, no, it wasn't upside down. It was
that'd be funny too.
4-1 lick.
4-1 lick. Yeah.
But we don't know many people that got on a Harley and it hasn't changed their life. Everybody's life changes. Whole new thing happens.
It's a different brotherhood or sisterhood, or it's just a community. This honestly, I love my biker community, and that's worldwide. Because I just got back from Spain not too long ago, and I didn't know how that was going to be. I didn't know how the bikers were there. And I went to Calamity Jane, motorcycle club. That's a little shout out for you guys, and HA sponsors them. And I went there, and I was treated like royalty. It was wonderful. And we rode in Alicante, Spain. And, they had other bikes for me if I wanted, but I ended up renting a bike at the time. But I was treated like a queen. They were lovely to me, and they took me everywhere. And my friend, Natalia, she was the reason why I was able to actually go, because she said, just get a plane flight, get here. She says, I own a house. I'll take you everywhere you want to go. Don't worry about driving. And she did. She had all these connections. And so I was completely immersed in biker world when I was in Spain the whole time I was there. It was wonderful.
That's something different. When you meet someone in Europe and they say, when you're in town, give me a call. You can stay with me. I'll feed you this and that.
Exactly.
They mean it.
They mean it.
In the States, less so, but in the States, in the motorcycle community, they mean it. So it's kind of like a little culture within a culture.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. Anywhere I go in the United States, if I really need a place to bunk, I haven't really done this, but just so that you guys are out there, if I'm in the area, I would love to stay at your house because I get to know people, and I love that. And I love getting to know the community. So I'm always open for that.
Put that no-go back up real quick.
He said, tip for y'all, if you're riding a street glider or bagger, buy some Legend suspensions.
Get one over here.
What's that?
Right
there you go. Sporting, rocking from 2LaneLIVE.com.
2LaneLIVE.com. and get the axial performance, or actually the comfort.
If you're touring, the comfort. We've actually been rocking the comfort for. I had it on. I had the upgraded performance on my Road King, but on all our new bikes, we have the comfort. Yada yada. You know.
And don't take that word comfort and think it makes it mush. It's performance. It's really, really good.
It's not mush.
It's not mush.
Well, that's one of the things we really haven't done much of, and we got into Canada. It'd be fun to get overseas somewhere, and so to hear that trip, that had to be just great.
It was. I mean, my goal and my hope and my dream is to be able to get enough sponsorship and funding so that I can tour the world with biker women, simply because like I said, it's just been pigeonholed and no one's seen it in forever. And whether biker women is seen or not, there's plenty of other things out there that I can certainly carry on my back so that women can see other women riding. But I want to be able to go to places like that, meet other leaders and other biker communities that are female oriented, because I want to meet those people. I want to meet those.
Well, it sounds like you're on your way.
I'm
put your energy into it and stuff happens.
Exactly. Exactly. So girls in Dubai, I'm coming. Girls in Australia, I'm coming. Girls in Sydney, I'm coming. Girls in Japan, I'm coming.
Get ready.
Get ready.
We're doing it live. Yeah. So explain that a little bit too. Are you part of the Litas?
I am.
And then you're also part of, which is a beautiful hat you have on.
Thank you.
Medicine Wheel Ride.
Medicine Wheel Ride.
So you're part of them.
I am part of them. Yes. And I'm very proud of that. These women are amazing. I've actually gone to several of their rides, along with Tana Roller. Many of you know Tana. We did several of their rides and got to know those girls probably 5 years ago, and started riding with them in Sturgis when they'd have their medicine wheel rides. And when they started, it was a lot smaller, but now, when we go to those rides, there's like 160 people in these rides. It's a lot,
right?
And they're known all over the country. I'd like to expand that to all over the world. But I was fortunate enough to get involved with them, and I talked them into allowing me to be their LA representative. So I'm the LA rep. So I really just twisted their arms, because I really wanted to lead a ride out of Los Angeles, because they do a trek from like San Diego to LA, and then from LA to Arizona, and then from Arizona all the way across country, and people, jump in. And what it is, it's a charity fundraiser for raising funds to help missing and murdered Indigenous women, which they've actually changed the name a bit because they have such an epidemic with this. It's not just women. Of course, there's more women than anybody being taken, but there are also, there's young men that are being taken, and other people that are being on the reservation. It's horrible.
Yeah, I know they expanded to do like domestic abuse and different things as well, not just the trafficking.
Correct.
Correct. And we're big fans of theirs as well.
Yeah.
Lorna and Lisa and all. It's
They're
just
wonderful.
Such great people. And,
they're wonderful.
And Lisa's still watching, but we're going to try to do a thing that's not completely announced yet, but in Sturgis, we have a favorite place that we like to eat called the Boar's Nest. So we want to try and do something with them this year.
I'm there.
It's kind of a meet and greet, but then ride from there to Outlaw Square to support the Medicine Wheel Ride.
Let's make it happen. Yeah, let's make it happen. I mean, that actually, I haven't really had a chance to talk to my sisters about it, but I really would like to incorporate that into what I'm doing, because I still want to raise awareness for that. And I want to be affiliated with a charity as I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, because, we do a lot of the things for the veterans. My father was a vet, World War II vet, as many of you know, and we have a lot of organizations that do so much for the vets, but I would really like to raise funds to help a lot of these families that have this situation.
Well, your father, that's
my dad.
We've been following you with him, and pretty special. And I'm sure, I mean, I love World War II history, and it's like, he was there.
He was there.
He
was
did
there. Yeah. And I haven't done this yet, but before he passed, I filmed all of the times that he would tell me these stories about his childhood or about the war.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to call it the Daddy Chronicles.
That's great.
So I'll be putting those up probably once a month, just pick a story, go, okay, here's Dad, because so many people really did enjoy when I would put him on. Like sometimes I take him for junk food, and we'd do a, segment, and people were like, he's so cute.
How old was he?
99.
Wow. He went a whole century.
99 in 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Our friend Matt has his grandfather flew B-25, B-17 bombers over Germany.
Man.
So he was there with them.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
What did your dad do in the
Navy man?
Navy man. So Pacific Theater, or was he
Pacific Theater? Correct.
Wow.
Oh, sorry, European Theater.
Okay.
Yeah, European theater. He was overseas in the South Pacific and has all these stories which I'll be putting up. I remember when he said, none of us knew not to jump off of the boat to go swimming because in the South Pacific there's piranha. Yeah. He said they'd take a ham hock and throw it into the ocean, and in 5 minutes the bone would float to the top empty. Yeah, and I was like, whoa. He said, you if you're overboard, you're probably not going to make it.
Right. No.
You know.
What was Hunter's question?
We did get a question from Hunter's Adventures saying, can you guys ask what's her favorite bike rally to go to and why?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to say Sturgis, because I've been doing Sturgis since 1990 for the 50th anniversary. I was there. Wow. In fact, I'm actually on their official poster, which I had no idea about. A friend said, you're on the official
So you need
poster.
to tour more and just find about places where you've been and don't remember.
Were you on a corner?
And don't remember exactly.
Were you on a corner somewhere?
What's that?
Were you on a corner somewhere?
No, I was literally rolling I was on my shovel head with my girlfriend at the time on the back, rolling down Main Street, and they snapped the shot of the 50th anniversary. It's the official poster for the 50th anniversary. And there I am, as plain as day, with my shovel head, riding down Main Street. Yeah. And they have that in One-Eyed Jacks. I've got that poster in a frame in One-Eyed Jacks. Yeah.
Let's see this guy.
I was just going to see if I could find out while you guys were chatting. I'm sure there's a bunch of, you said you're riding in it?
Yeah, I'm actually, if you can find, I don't know if you can find the 50th anniversary
poster,
official poster. 50th, it would have been 1990, the 50th anniversary for Sturgis. See if we can pull it up. Let's see. That's not it. No.
Is there
There's a picture of you right there.
Oh, no, actually. Yeah, that's a shot from Indian. Wait a minute. Go up to that top one there. Let's see what that is. I don't think that's from the 50th though. I don't think
this one.
No. It's literally Main Street with all the people. Wait, what's that?
Right here.
What's that? What year is that?
That is the 50th.
There it is. Okay, if you can, I don't know.
See, I got to save that image. Desktop. Keep chatting. That
going back in time.
Yeah.
This is cool. I like it.
Yeah. If you blow it up. If you can blow it up, I'm coming. Keep going.
There's you right there.
There I am, right up there.
No way.
There I am, right there.
Yep.
There's me with a bandana and my girl's on the back.
I'll see if I can put that on the screen for these guys.
Right, no helmet.
We've done that.
Well, that's the other. I'm a different person now. It's like I'm like in full, full.
Well,
gear
I guess once you experience what you did, you kind of want to be protected.
Well, I'm glad that I was protected before that, but you have to understand. In 1979, I used to test drive. Okay, I used to test drive all the prototypes off the assembly line. I was hit by a bus on the test track and it ran over my left arm. Oh yeah. I was test driving the KZ 1300 6-cylinder Kawasaki, and the bus driver that was testing a bus was in an unauthorized area. And because I was a biker and you're not supposed to be on the same place because you can't see us.
Right.
And he ended up hitting me, knocked me off the KZ. I went flying over the handlebars and I landed on my stomach. I went to get ready to get up out of the way of the bus, and the back wheel caught my fingers. And I thought, okay, this is it. I'm dying today. And that was in 79. And so I just thought, okay, well, I don't want to see my head get run over, because in like a split seconds, I'm watching the bus coming. I'm like, oh, no, And I turned my head the other way and just laid down. And he rolled up over my hand, over my wrist, over my forearm, over my elbow, and then ever so slightly turned and went down the road. They didn't even know they hit me.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So no broken bones, but massive contusion and nerve.
So one thing we've come to, we got the conclusion: you don't break bones.
Apparently not. But my parents, they're like Gumbies too. Neither of my parents ever broke a bone. Weird, So apparently I got good genes.
Yes. Very good.
So talk a little, you mentioned Eureka.
Yes.
You did a little post up there, and you brought the film there?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I talked to my friend Chopper Gary.
Yeah.
And he owns Tintic Museum in Eureka, Utah. You guys have to stop in and see that place. It's amazing.
So it's open to the public?
It's open to the public, absolutely. And it's a wonderful setup. He's got all these older bikes and posters. And I mean, just just choice stuff in this museum. It's coffee shop, the whole 9 yards. So I approached him about it and I said, hey, look, I want to screen the film there. And he goes, yeah, sure, bring it. So we brought it. And then I brought a lot of the promo and Tana came with me. And then obviously the leaders popped in.
When was this?
This has been,
a few years back.
I'm going to say this has been like 4 or 5 years ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And we screened it there. And I'm telling you, it was a huge success. Everybody, it was packed. I just did another one not too long ago, at Sunny Slope Historical Society in Arizona at their museum. And that one was successful as well. So I understand that they want to do it again. I think another larger museum would like to do it. So really what I'm trying to do is get some interest out there so that people will come to me and say, hey, look, I've got a venue. I'd really love for you to bring the movie. We want to screen it,
the
so
Legend
that the public
Museum
can see it.
Might do it.
Yeah, we can reach
cool
out.
people.
We can reach out to them for you.
I would love that. I know that Bike Shed, Vicky and Dutch, said, hey, bring it. And then I talked to Andrew and Tina over at, LA Moto, and Andrew said, bring it, so, and I know I can get it back at Tintic, but any place, if you've got a place large enough to house a lot of bikers, because I want to say it's, it's biker women, but I know that we're going to draw men and women, and that's the idea. It's our community. So.
We did have another question from Hunter asking, what is the favorite bike you've ever ridden? I'm gonna guess the Shovelhead, but I don't know.
That's a great question. Wow. I've ridden so many different bikes. Obviously I'm definitely a Harley girl to the bone because I have 3 Harleys. But I do love my Indian as well. I'm kind of a dichotomy in that sense, because everybody's like, well, which one do you like the best?
How about both?
I like them both. I like them both for different reasons. I love that new CVO. I would love to have one. Come on, Harley, loan me one, for like a year. I'll ride the hell out of it. Me. But yeah, I would love to have the CVO to be able to ride it. Indian was kind enough to put me on their new 116 in 2021. And the idea was, let me just ride this thing as much as I can so that they would give it to me, and it worked. I put 61,000 miles on it, and within 2 years.
Now, are you dealing with them at all, or no?
No. Bless their hearts. I'm no longer. I used to be on the Women's and Power Sport Council for them, but they cycle us out.
Yeah.
So I'm really a free agent now. So I've been on the new BMW. Baggers, which are awesome. I'd love to have one of the bobbers that they make. They're awesome. Ridden those. But if it's got 2 wheels, I'll be on it.
I thought we had another comment from Kathy, like you should write a book.
Do you know what? Thank you for asking that. My wife tells me the same thing. She says, you really need to write a book. I need a ghostwriter. First of all,
right.
That will help me with that. I would like to do that. And I really just the first thing actually I'd like to do is just do a little pocket size thing that you can literally fit in your back pocket. That's the
travel book.
The travel book, the little nuances, little hacks, because I have so many little hacks that I have learned over the years, especially for women.
You're MacGyver.
With that, I'm MacGyver. I've had to literally put things together with toothpicks, and even the guys, like one time, a little quick story, I broke my throttle cable, and the guy's like, oh, that sucks. And I go, well, you know what? I have a return cable.
Yep.
I'm going to take the return cable off and flip it over backwards. And I go, I don't need the return cable. I can return my own throttle. He goes, oh, I don't know if that'll work. I go, what? The same size. And he goes, really? You think it'll work? I go, I don't know. Let's check it out. So there I went, tinkered, you could put it together. I went, boom, boom, boom. I went, hey, I was back on the road.
It's funny you say that, because we had that happen to Luke on the way to Sturgis, and we used the return cable.
Off a Dom's bike.
And he kept it for like an entire year.
I think, in fact, it still may be on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were rolling up a grade, and all of a sudden he lost throttle. Yeah. And it's a newer bike, but it's got an older carb on it.
Yeah.
And so we're like, there's a 2005 Dyna. Let's get the return
cable.
But the cable he had was special made too, and he couldn't get it.
It was like a parts, like a carb.
Yeah, but it worked.
But it worked.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I tell women all the time, 2 things especially. I mean, I always tell them, carry a Leatherman or some sort of a multi-tool, a good one, not a Chinese, nothing that's cheap. Spend the money, because you'll never regret it. I said, because if you've got that on your hip, at least you've got something,
right?
But one of the things that you need to always carry in your saddlebag is a set of needle nose vice grips, you know, because if you break a throttle, you know, or sorry, clutch lever, you know, or a shifter lever, any of that, you just clip that thing on there and you're good to go. You know, the other thing is carry extra linkage for your shifter gear, or always carry baling wire, duct tape, and zip ties.
Yep.
You know, I mean, those three things never leave home without those. JB Weld.
I'm going to tell you, with the new bikes, if the throttle goes out, you're out.
You're out.
If
That's what I'm hearing.
Electronics go out,
you're done.
You're out. You can't duct tape that.
No.
We had to patch a primary cover with stickers.
Hey, whatever works.
Kept it.
Yeah, whatever works. I mean, I've duct taped people's, you know, brake assembly together, their linkage assembly. I've made a linkage with duct tape and baling wire. You know, I mean,
right.
It's crazy the things that you do, you know, that
you have to do.
Yeah. I mean, when I did Biker Women, I actually had difficulty with my bike. I kept getting blow by past the rings for some reason. It was blowing oil out through my breather like crazy. Couldn't figure out what it was for years. I mean, and I was going through oil pumps. Come to find out, at the time, I don't know if you guys remember when they used to do the Balance Masters. Okay. All right. Well, I'm dating myself now. Those of you that are out there that are mechanics, you know what I'm talking about. The Balance Masters had mercury. And what happened was the Balance Master that I put on my shovel had ruptured. And so the mercury was leaching into my oil and it was going through my whole system, but it killed my system gradually. And what would happen, it would get into the oil pump and then it would lay in the bottom of the oil pump and then it would start blowing the oil right out the breather. And I went through three oil pumps before I figured out what it was. And how that happened was, once again, I was having trouble. I was by myself. I was in Wyoming and I went into a shop and I told the guy, I go, look, I got to get into my bike. I got my own tools. Do you mind? Because it was hot. And he goes, yeah, sure. Come on in. He was a great guy. And I pulled the primary off and I'm on the ground. I'm looking at my inner primary. And I'm looking at it and it looks like there's sand in it. And the guy's looking over my shoulder and he's like, oh my gosh, it looks like you've got sand in your oil. And I'm like, I know. I don't know what it is. He goes, is there somebody that doesn't like you? I go, no. I don't know. There's nobody that doesn't like me. You know, I have lots of friends. You know, nobody would try to hurt me or hurt my bike or anything like that. And I'm looking at it and then I just went like this, but it wasn't gritty. And then a light bulb went on in my head. Okay. So it went back to when I was 5 and I was sick and my mother put a thermometer in my mouth and the thermometer broke on the floor and the mercury went everywhere, little balls. Yep. And I was like, oh my God. And he's like, what? And I go, and then I went like this to wipe it on my pants because I didn't want it on my finger because it'll absorb into your finger. I go, it's mercury. And he goes, mercury? How did mercury get in your oil? And I told him, I go, my Balance Master is leaching. And he goes, oh my God. And so I share that story with the mechanics. They're like, whoa, that's genius, you know?
Well, we don't carry baling wire.
Yeah. No. You guys need to carry baling wire. I'm telling you.
I don't know if
you can make a bike out of baling wire.
I mean, that was my dad's favorite stuff.
Well, we've had some great journeys to Sturgis where someone's exhaust broke.
Oh, yeah.
And it was on the older bikes. And we would cruise into a town and find an older guy or a guy that had a welding shop. Next thing you know, I mean, it creates this vibe that's, you know, so.
Try finding a TIG welder in Idaho Falls on Sunday afternoon at 4.
But we did.
Found it.
But you did.
Got him on the phone. He's like, oh, I'm going to leave my mom's birthday party. I'll meet you at the shop.
Right. See, that's the beauty of the community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's honestly the community that I've grown to love through Harley, you know, because no matter where my gosh, I broke down one time in the middle of nowhere in Utah. I mean, literally, because I take all these back roads. I won't get on the freeway. I hate the freeways. So I'm in Indian country somewhere, you know, in the middle of nowhere. And I break down and these guys rolled up in a pickup truck. And they're like, you know, how can we help you? I'm like, well, you know, my bike's broke down. I'm not sure what's going on with it. It ended up being a relay, you know, but they're like, hey, look, you know, we can, you know, and you have to trust, you know, because I don't know, you know, but, you know, you just, by the grace of God, you know, they were lovely guys. They helped me get the bike into the back of their pickup truck. They drove me into this little teeny tiny town of like 200 people.
And we never saw Gevin again.
Yeah, right. Never. I wasn't sure whether that would happen or not. You know, I mean, I didn't want to end up dead in a field somewhere.
Right.
You know, But as it turned out, and this is what I tell people, because a lot of people ask me, how do you do it by yourself? Aren't you scared? Especially being Black. I said, look, the world is not as bad as people make it out to be. There's so much fear out there, and yes, bad things can happen, but I've done this trip so many times by myself, with friends, with all girls, by myself as a Black female, and everybody has been wonderful.
And I think we can attest to that because we have been riding a long time. We have a lot of miles, many different states.
Yeah.
And you only really meet cool people. I haven't seen bad stuff happen.
No, I've met nothing but wonderful people. I mean, I love to go to the little, the little swap meet or the little, garage or antiques that's got the guy that's 98, and you sit down and you talk to him because he's telling all these really cool stories, and he's a little old white dude that's got like a rat chopper.
Do you know the desert doctor?
I do not.
No.
You got to meet him in
the desert doctor. He's got his Forester loaded with stickers. He carries all kinds of tools. He rolls into town in Escalante, Utah.
I love it.
And he has a headband on, and he'll. What do you have? You have a problem, or if you need, here's a card.
Oh my God!
But he has a shop a mile away.
That's awesome.
With tires from around the world, the people he's changed. You have to see that place.
I have to go there.
He'll fix your bike.
I will go there.
The desert doctor.
All right. Well,
you got to meet him.
That's a destination.
And he knows us.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we've been through there, and I'm like, "Do you remember us?" And he pulls out our card. He's like, "Yeah, I remember you."
And we actually filmed his shop with him, and he telling us what he does. The desert doctor.
But I've had one of those weird situations. We had a trailer on a boat that had blown both tires. I had to go into Idaho Falls into this place, or Blackfoot.
Yeah.
And it was later, and the family's all over eating, and I'm staying with the trailer. And all of a sudden this guy the owner kind of got really sketchy.
Whoa.
He went in his office, and he's like, and I'm like, well,
what's happening?
So I was looking for anything I could stab him with.
Right.
And it was a very thick welding rod. And I pulled one, and I just had it on my side. And I just throw it in.
Right, exactly.
Get the hell out of there.
Because you don't know. I mean,
no.
And for
what happened?
He just calmed down and finally got the tires on. And
Holy shit.
I'm like, where's my family? Like, I'm here. I can't go anywhere.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, believe me, I've had those sketchy moments. I have had those sketchy moments.
Yeah.
And I honestly, my father taught me, never turn your back when you go into a restaurant. Never have your back to the door. Yep. Keep your head on a swivel. Know your surroundings. Know where the exits are. And be able to protect yourself. Get whatever you need to protect yourself. And so fortunately, I've been blessed in the sense that has not happened. I usually have a lot of people that are looking out for me, which is really nice. Yep. And they don't even know me. But they, if I roll into town and get to talking to people, then they're looking out for me, which is wonderful. But I remember one time I think I was in Montana, and I was going to go camping remote. And this was like in 92 or 93. And I thought, I'd never camped really, really, really remote before. So I went into a Sportsman's store, and I talked to the guys in there, and I said, I'm getting ready. I said, I really want to find a nice remote place so that I can watch the sunrise, and I just want to be by myself. And they're like, oh yeah, you can go to the top of this mountain. They said, but whatever you do, don't sleep in the same clothes you cooked in. And I was like, and they're like, the bears will drag you right out of your tent. And I was like, whoa, I never even thought about it. And they go and put your food up in a tree. And if you wash your hair, with something that smells like fruit, you need to wash again, because they said they will go after you for that, thinking that you're a piece of fruit or whatever. And I was like, so from that time forward, I never would have, I don't carry shampoo. I might use something that's at the campground or whatever, but it doesn't smell like fruit, and I've always, if I'm in a real remote spot where I know there's bears, I always put my food up in a tree and always tell people, hey, I'm going to be at this remote spot, I'm going in. If I don't have signal, this is the last place that I was. I'm leaving a breadcrumb trail to find my body.
Wow.
But yeah, it gets sketchy sometimes. But that's kind of why "Live Your Dare" is my tagline. There's been so many. First time I went to Sturgis, I was petrified. But I got on my bike and just thought, They said, are you alone? I'm like, well, I'm never really alone.
Right.
I'm never really alone. I have these great conversations with God, But no, I'm very thankful that I had parents that were very adamant about making me very independent and making me fearless in the sense of travel and exploration, and I feel very empowered by that.
So your mom and dad, were they together the whole time?
They were together the whole time. My parents were married for 54 years.
And your mother?
My mother passed in 2011. That about killed me.
So how about with your father? I mean, it might have to wreck him. Like
it did. But my dad is very resilient and he's a survivor. It was very different though, how he handled it. He has so many friends. But many of his friends have passed because he's old, but my father has always had the gift of gab. He's very charming and everybody loved him. In fact, when we did his life celebration, the church was packed. I mean, it was standing room only. There were people outside because they couldn't get in, and someone asked him one time, and in fact, in one of the interviews for the leaders, they said, well, do you worry about your daughter? And my father said the coolest thing. He said, no, he says, I don't worry about my daughter. He says, because if I worry about her, that's insinuating that she doesn't know how to handle herself. He says, I raised my daughter to be able to handle herself. So if anybody can get through this, it'll be my daughter, and I was like, oh my God, I just love my father, because he raised very capable children. All of us are very independent. I mean, he was the kind of dad that like mom would be like, well, aren't you going to help them? And he's like, no.
How old was your mother?
My mother passed at 89 and my dad passed at 99. Now They were 3 years. My father was 3 years younger than my mother. And he'd always tell people that she was his babysitter.
I mean, if we make it into our 80s and 89, I mean, that's like, okay, that's awesome. Your dad just took it to a whole nother level.
He really
My
did.
parents are 92 and they live on their own, drive
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
My father lived on his own until 97.
Wow.
And so the last 3 years were a little complicated for him because he started losing his eyesight and his hearing. But he worked. He was an exterior and interior painter and decorator. He worked up until he was like 79. And then he decided to retire. And then he would just take little jobs that he wanted to. But he would have the guys work. So he would never get up on the ladder again because he did fall off a ladder once. But he was the most graceful falling ladder person I've ever seen.
He was a stuntman.
He was a stuntman. He really was. I mean, I've watched my father hold on to okay, well, the ladder's over there. I'm coming down,
He would have been a fun guy to talk to.
Oh my gosh, my father was amazing. He'd have people in stitches laughing. He always had a big, huge smile. Everybody loved my father. And everybody loved my mother too.
What was his name?
Alan Wallace Sr. Yeah. We have Alan Wallace the fifth now.
Nice.
Yeah. 5 generations.
Wow.
5 generations.
Brothers and sisters?
Brothers. I only have 2 brothers.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm the only girl, but I'm my father's favorite son.
Yes.
I was the one that even my older brother was the one that brought that up. He was like, he goes, I was just thinking after daddy had passed, and he's like, we're talking about what we're going to say about dad. And he says, I was just thinking, he says, you really followed in dad's footsteps. And I wasn't a painter and decorator. Both of my brothers were. So on the business side, they did everything that dad did. But on the radical black sheep side, I did all that. I was the athlete. I was, the artist. I was the one that ran around and met all these people. I was the one that was jumping off of cliffs with a bungee. That was my dad. So, but my brothers don't do that kind of stuff. They don't even ride.
Well, I don't think I'd be following you off a cliff with a bungee either.
Like I said, I was my dad's favorite son.
Well, I know we're past the hour, but I ran into you Sunday and you said you don't take highways and you weren't taking any highways. No. And I just look across at the stoplight and I raised my helmet and I'm like,
yeah.
And you wait, and we pulled over and talked a little bit, and it's been so nice to have you back in studio.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
If we've got links there, we've got all these things that people need to look at. Go check this. It's hard to find sometimes, right?
Yes.
So, but anytime we're going to do this premiere, anything we can do to help with that.
Thank you.
I think it's a great story.
Well, definitely keep everybody posted.
This is live. It'll always be up now on YouTube. It goes to Spotify and other places. But a week from now, you can say, hey, go watch the live.
Yes.
There's links in there that Josh put, like he was saying, that they'll find in there. Yeah.
I mean, and like I said, if there's anybody out there that has a venue, even if it's a shop, we'll bring it to your shop and bring some people in, because I'm all about community, and we love it when we can do something at a shop and just bring everybody in. It helps the community itself. It helps the shop. It helps the women, you know, so guys, you know, if you got shops out there and a nice big space and you want to help us out, you know, we're also working with the medicine wheel riders. I'd love my girls to, you know, be a part of that. You know, let's bring it, you know, so definitely contact me. Find me at Sapasu on Instagram and Gevin Fax on Facebook.
Tell them where they can see you.
Yeah.
And,
So,
and put a fly on the wall back up again. I think you put him up there already, but is that?
Let's see. He said, I'm almost certain I saw Gevin way back in 93, 94 in Central California. She was in the lead of a pack of bikes.
Yep.
She was wearing a white tank top and jeans with chaps. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, it's times have changed because people are like, well, yeah, you know, you're all about equipment. I'm like, yeah, because when I was younger, it was a tank top, pair of cowboy boots, you know, maybe a bikini top and no helmet.
Well, you're older and you're still in a tank top.
I'm still in a tank top, and occasionally I might ride down the road a little bit like that, but most of the time when I'm traveling, I'm all...
how ironic is that?
That's pretty funny.
We got a viewer that's saw you in
that's very cool.
20 years ago.
So pay attention and follow her
30
Instagram
years
because
ago.
I think she's on her way to something big.
Thank you. I hope so. Everybody can help me bring this to fruition. I mean, I'm going to need so much help because I'm literally not knowing what I'm doing, and I'm just throwing something on the wall, hoping it sticks.
And all you women out there, follow her, check her out, tell your friends.
And I just saw Lisa say, "Love you guys. See you down the road." And
love you too, babe.
It's one of the cool things about that group, and we didn't really realize this. We asked Lorna if we could, you know, be the charity of choice, if they could be the charity of choice for us for our open house, and they graciously said yes. But what we didn't expect is for her to fly out from South Dakota. What we didn't expect is Lisa to fly in from Maui. And that's how committed to the cause that they are. And so it's such a great group of women.
Very much
and so make sure we should put Medicine Wheel Ride in the link too.
Please
just
do.
Will do. Yep.
Yeah, they're a great group.
I had for
the
donations and so forth.
Yeah, I had the absolute pleasure of riding with them like across country for the first time. And we've ridden in rides together. But as it turned out, the timing was perfect because we were in Sturgis and they said, well, you know, what are you going to do after this? I said, well, I'm actually going to go to Montana. Long story short, we ended up riding together as a group to Montana to go to the Indian motorcycle rally in Montana. And I rode with the Medicine Wheel girls. We ended up doing ceremony at Medicine Wheel. And then we rode a little bit further than that. But I just want to say this. They were the kindest group that I have ever ridden with.
Yeah.
Kindest, no ego, very helpful, very looking out for each other, just very grounded. Just a wonderful, 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 wonderful group of human beings. And I was thrilled to be a part of it and just very thankful to be rolling with them. Yeah. Very grateful.
Well, motorcycles brought us all together.
Absolutely.
And this community, as we've said it before, we weren't really community guys when we first started. It was just the two of us.
Yeah.
Let's just be our own community.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But once the channel started and to hear all these stories and to feel the passion from all these different people, we've got people here tuning in, having comments, making conversation in between each other.
Yes.
You know, it's
wonderful
blessed to see it. You know?
It really is. All of you that are out there, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Like I said, I love our community. There is no other community like it in the world. And we have something that is so special. I want the rest of the world to know what we do as bikers. I mean, because we're a special kind of human.
Yeah.
We're a special kind of human.
Yeah. Call it something.
Something.
So 2LaneLIVE.com, the garage, get all your apparel, all your merchandise, all your parts for your V-twin. And we're not just touring guys. We sell it all. Helmets, everything.
Dyna's FXRs.
Dyna FXR Softail. We got tires. We got suspension bars, risers, saddlebags, a backpack as of tomorrow.
Nice.
And couple
Sar
of
Loose
things.
wine that's on Josh's hat. That's our buddy Keith. Go check
That's
that
it.
out.
Yeah.
Check out GEVIN'S 57 if you have a minute.
Yes, and that is in the links as well on
right,
Facebook.
great.
So
yeah, GEVIN'S 57.
We
I call
got
them
'em.
power
We
bands, people. Power bands. I have men's sizes and ladies' sizes.
Wonder
And I got
Woman.
child size too.
bam. And we will see you
down the
Down
road.
the road.